Now that you're over why Katappa killed Bahubali and the super extravagant Virushka wedding, let's get to the next big thing, cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoins. Right from media reports of Amitabh Bachchan gaining and subsequently losing lakhs of rupees to your closest relatives suddenly making a fortune out of Bitcoins, this has been one tough nut to crack, hasn't it? Bitcoin started as a medium of transaction for people without storing their personal information by a central monetary authority, say a bank. The first widespread use of Bitcoin was by the online black market called Silk Road, which was selling and buying drugs without being tracked by central authorities. So what does a junkie's medium of exchange have to do with a common man? First things first, Bitcoins are not tangible or physical. They are a form of digital or virtual currency. Simply put, Bitcoins are nothing but computer programs written in a programming language. So are we paying to buy computer programs? Well, not exactly. Money transfer companies for banked individuals such as Visa and non-banked individuals such as Western Union typically levy a surcharge for transfer of money. Now this ranges anywhere between 3% and 10%, typically more for non-banked individuals. Now compare this with Bitcoins. When an unidentified individual going by the alias of Satoshi Nakamoto first designed the concept of Bitcoins, it was supposed to be decentralized, unregulated, with no server or central authority. This meant that the transactions were not being carried out by a corporation but by a community, and thus the costs were negligible. After cultivating and developing the technology in 2011, Nakamoto distributed the source code and technology to all the others in the Bitcoin community and was never traced after that. This has insulated Bitcoins from hacking attempts which have marred financial services companies and banks. Say for example, thousands of ATMs of State Bank of India which were hacked last year and crores of rupees were siphoned off. Since no one central authority has all of your personal information, Bitcoin distributes this information and thus the associated financial risk. What started as a currency for those who rejected the corporate-owned banking post the 2008 financial meltdown
can't get out.
Was soon co-opted by large companies and corporates who started to accept Bitcoins as a regular form of currency. This is not dissimilar to, say, gems. One can easily argue saying that why do we pay for these pricey materials that shine out in a rather dark mine? Well, simply because people are ready to buy it. So now that Bitcoins are fast moving into the mainstream financial system, let's try and deconstruct the seemingly complex concept of Bitcoins step by step. Let's take the example of a can of a soft drink and one buyer. The buyer pays the price and procures the can. Now consider multiple buyers. The buyer who pays the most gets the can, thus spiking the price of the same can of soft drink. As more and more people got into buying and selling Bitcoins, the prices kept going up and up. Currently in India, the price of one Bitcoin hovers around rupees 10 lakh. This might seem expensive right now, but when it started, the price of one Bitcoin in India was rupees 25 only. Don't be disheartened if you do indeed want to buy a Bitcoin, as there are smaller denominations of the cryptocurrency available named bits. The protocol laid by the Bitcoin founder states that there can be only 21 million Bitcoins mined ever, out of which 12 million Bitcoins have already been mined. Hang on, mined? Are we talking about physical mining here? Well, not really, though the process is quite similar. You can buy and sell Bitcoins in India using 11 exchanges which have been identified. One of the most popular being ZepPay. You can download the app on your mobile, enter your Aadhaar details and all other credentials and pump in as much money as you want to buy Bitcoins. While modern currencies are no more backed by precious metals such as gold and silver, banks can go on to irresponsibly print as many currencies as possible, thus going on with inflation. A case in point being the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is linked to processes such as blocking or mining. A person or group or company mines Bitcoin by doing a combination of advanced math and record keeping. When someone sends a Bitcoin to someone else, the network records that transaction and all of the others over a certain period of time in a block. Computers running special software called the miners use specialized software and increasingly powerful hardware convert these blocks into sequences of code known as hash. Producing a hash requires serious computational power and thousands of miners compete for it. It's like thousands of chefs feverishly racing to prepare the perfect dish, and whoever does it first gets paid. According to media reports, one single Bitcoin transaction consumes enough electricity to power an Indian house for a month. When a new hash is generated, the miner currently gets 12.5 Bitcoins, pumping in new Bitcoins into the system. So why is the government so gravely concerned about the use of Bitcoins? Downside of the use of Bitcoin is what worries the finance ministry. Because there is no trail of transaction in the entire process, Bitcoins can be used for illegal trades such as trafficking, betting, etc. A Bitcoin is not printed by a central bank nor regulated by one. It's a community currency. So it all boils down to one of the fundamentals of currency. Do you trust it? The Reserve Bank of India and the Finance Ministry have issued 3 warnings against the rampant use of Bitcoins in the country. The Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has also gone on to call it an e-Ponzi scheme. Bitcoins, as Warren Buffett says, is the business of only those who can afford to lose the amount invested. There may be some truth to this. Sadly, there is no real way to predict the price fluctuations related to Bitcoins. However, certain occurrences such as ransomware attack and web threats can cause price fluctuations. Modern currencies are also not completely away from these threats. So should you buy a Bitcoin? That is totally your call.